you doing, everybody? Thanks for stopping by and joining us today for another Rollin' Over the Hill on the Live to Roll channel. At this time, I'd like to give a mention and thank our sponsors, mobility professionals and urology professionals. Hats off to them. They're a great group of people. Today's show, we'll be discussing regulating body temperatures and what to do to stay cool, especially in this heat wave we've been experiencing here in Southern California and all over the United States, all over the country, and all over the world, in fact. So make sure to include your questions and views in the comments. Hello, everyone. My name is Robert Soto. I'm a T12 spinal cord injury from a motorcycle racing accident almost 50 years ago. And time flies when you're having fun, I guess. But anyway, so let's get started here. I'd like to introduce my two co-hosts, Bobby and Luis. Let's kick it off to Bobby for right now.
Hey, thanks a lot, Robert. Yeah, beat the heat. It's getting hot out there. I know some maybe not believe in climate change and the old saying global warming, but it might be true. I don't know. It's getting hotter, it feels like. And yeah, we have to beat the heat. But I'm Bobby Rohan. I'm a C5-6 quadriplegic, 34 years, 35 almost, or somewhere around there. Start to lose track after a while, but it's great to be here on our Rolling Over the Hill, talking about, beating that heat, especially when we get older. I'm in my 20s, man, I could stay out in the sun forever, even as a C5-6 quad. So I think even with aging, this is a great topic for us who, age with trying to beat the heat. But it goes across all levels of disability, if it's your first year or, your 50th year. I think heat can really do a lot to us. And number one thing is dehydrate us. When you're dehydrated, you're catheter and you're looking at UTI problems, and then a bunch of other, then bowel problems, then all sorts of problems. So I can't wait to have a great discussion about beating the heat, but let's turn it over to Luis.
Hi, everybody. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Luis. I'm an L3, L4, incomplete walking and rolling para. So I do a little bit of both. I've been injured for 43 years. I was hurt in an industrial accident on an oil rig when it was not 100 degrees, but minus 30 below, which I'm really missing right now.
Yeah, really.
Oh, I can imagine.
That cool air would feel really nice right now.
Anyways,
so
wait, Luis, it was really 30 below the night you got, or the day you got hurt?
The actual temperature was minus 30, and
the wind
chill
advantage, right?
What's that?
To your advantage. It was to your advantage because you were laying in the snow, right, in the cold.
Yeah, I was laying on top of the ground, and it actually kept me from swelling up.
Yeah.
Now the trick is that my coworkers, once they realized that I was actually alive, they crawled underneath a tarp that they put over me. Because they thought he's dead, and throw a tarp over me and call the ambulance. And a minute or two later, I came conscious, and they realized I was alive. So two of the coworkers crawled under the tarp with me to keep me from freezing to death until the ambulance got there.
Wow.
So
it's kind of like, what was it? Empire Strikes Back, where they took one of those Tauntas and sliced it open and kept Luke alive.
Yeah, exactly. So this is why things like heat and cold and all the environmental concerns that we have to worry about is spinal cord injuries is so important. And this summer, with it so hot across the country, and that heat dome is working its way across the United States, and there's like, hundreds of millions of people going through heat right now, and we're suffering through that as well. So it's important that we talk about the tips and tricks of trying to stay cool while we have a spinal cord injury.
And I have, some and I know this is not to say so obvious, but something that we almost might not forget about. And on the other side of my desk right here are 2 5-gallons of water. We always want water during any kind of emergency. And being that we live in earthquake country, they say you need a gallon of water for each person a day. But here's the thing: we also don't think about when the power goes out. And yeah,
Yes.
you do have water, um, but sometimes that extra water on hand for disasters is really important, especially maybe if you're in flood areas or
Hmm.
an area that just water might be hard, and water is so essential to us. It's always good to keep on hand.
Yes,
Yeah.
we can live for weeks without food, but we can only live a few days without water.
Right.
Water is important.
Yeah. So let's get down to it. Let's, the
Yep.
heat. You know,
Yep.
obviously we know that, and everybody in our chat, welcome, thank you. Um, uh, Keep your comments or greet us, and we got quad theories in the house, and so we know that it's different for quads and paras. With sweating and not sweating, right? And I'm in a different boat than you guys. So tell me, let's start with you, Luis. Tell me about, like, are you just like before, the heat is hot and it's hot, and then when it's cold, is it cold? But I mean, are you sweating still the same, or is it a little different now? Or tell me about that.
For me, because of the level of my injury, I pretty much uh, my sweat is incomplete, just like my sensation. So I describe my sensation below my injury like the spots on a leopard, and my sweat glands are kind of similar. So I have places where I sweat and places that I don't. You know, sitting in a chair, we sweat in our crotch area and behind our back and down our butt cracks and things like that. Some of that, if you have paralysis, your sweat glands are paralyzed. We don't feel that. So just like someone like I'm sure you, Bobby, the level of where your sweat glands are working or not working is different than Robert and I.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the sweat for me is zero until dysreflexia sets in. And it's not like there's dysreflexia with no sweating and I get dysreflexia with sweating. So it's not, it's funny. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. It's hard to say.
Yeah,
I know.
I,
I
I
know.
don't
For
know about.
me,
Oh, go ahead,
no,
Bob.
no, go.
Robert.
Okay. I know. I know. For me, I perspire pretty much. Depends on how active or in what I'm doing, but also I experience the clamminess. My body gets real clammy feeling. Not so much sweat. It just I don't know how to explain it, and that's kind of new for me. I do perspire above the my level of injury with no sweat there, and lots of times I do perspire below the level of injury. But I don't know if it's different than when it was before or not. It just what's for me is the clamminess of my skin really gets that way a lot of times. Where it's like in between point there, where before I really get uh, perspiration and kind of just staying in the normal stage there. So I don't know what that's all about, but it's kind of been that way for a long time. But in terms of my injury, I don't know if it's the same or not.
Do you know if you're from when you were injured to currently has your sweating changed at all, Robert?
Well, I remember them
With
saying
age?
something about because I was so close to the where my spinal cord was punctured and all that, like the cauda piece, right? So that they
Hmm.
said that has something to do with the way I perspire, and it's been such a long time. I don't remember the explanation on that. So,
Hmm.
but I don't remember if I'm sweating more or not or less. With before the injury, it's been such a long time, and uh, but when I do perspire, when I'm really exerting myself and all that, I'm especially like in the garage doing some things and stuff like that. I really can work up a sweat, and but again, I don't know what to compare it to.
Yeah, with the living mind, I always have to be conscious of all my friends in chairs that their ability to control their body temperature is different than mine. So
Yeah.
I have to be cognizant of that because I can handle the cold and the heat. Put me in 120 at Lake Havasu, and I'm happy as a clam. I love it, but not the rest of us aren't going to be able to take that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
used to be able to handle the heat, and in fact, the heat actually makes my body feel better. But the excessive heat that we have now, it just to get it out there and function because it's just getting harder and harder to do stuff. The heat doesn't
Yeah,
help it, and yet I'll complain about when it's too cold. I mean, I like that right in between thing. I can deal with about 80 degrees, right there. But um, I the heat does make my body feel better. Just functionality of doing stuff in the heat.
I
That's really
as the three of us, the three we all live here in Southern California, and everyone says, "Oh, you're so lucky, it's a dry heat." Um,
not anymore.
because humidity is a factor. You know, Robert, you live in one of the valleys. Bobby, you live closer to the beach than the rest of us. I live in one of the inland valleys where it's a little bit drier,
Yeah.
and it's a little different for each of us. The humidity can make it better, or it can make it worse. It just depends on the combination of temperature and humidity and all the other things going on. The dry heat, out where I live, on an extremely dry day when it's like 5% humidity, people don't understand. You can feel the sweat drawing out of your body. You feel yourself becoming hot, dehydrated.
Well, I know I lived in Utah where I lived there for about 5 years, and it was also the heat there. They get the heat, but it also would get the real cold, and so I had problems with the cold. I mean, I could bundle up and all that, but my legs, the circulation is pretty bad, and with that cold weather, I remember I'd be wearing, long johns, and then I had leg brace on that, so I was trying to put that because the steel and the metal on the brace would get ice cold, so I'm trying to keep that away from my legs and all that stuff. But the cold was really really hard to deal with in terms of circulation for your lower extremities for me.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and plus you could layer up in clothes and all that for your arms, but I don't like wearing jackets too. I mean I hate that just
I hear
layer
you.
and all that. But the cold is I have to be careful as well. The heat, like I said, I can tolerate a little bit more, but the cold was mostly what I was worried about because you know that your feet, frostbite, stuff like that. We would know, especially if you're going out. We'd go out in the snow and four-wheeling or something, shooting and stuff like that. But I put those socks on that had little batteries on it for heating and stuff like that. But it was kind of hard to regulate in terms of the
We're
cold
talking
because
about cooling our bodies, but
yeah,
I'm wondering how the both of you, Bobby and Robert, how do you deal with the fact that if it's 100, 105, or 10 outside, and we go out and our wheelchair is just as hot as the temperature
yeah,
outside?
yeah,
Luis, you just beat me to it, and now I wanted to make that point because you fall in the same category as I do, and all of us here. So you think about it; it's 105, right?
Yeah,
What are we doing? We're transferring into vehicles and accidentally touching bars and stuff like that are hot, where we might not have sensation, and
yeah,
we forget about that sometimes. So yeah, we know, okay, leather, hot seat, it's going to be hot, but even for you guys, you might not feel like, oh,
yeah, right.
it's not as
absolutely.
bad, and and actually it could have been, and it might be way too hot, and you find a little burn mark, or touching the sides, with your hip or elbow on a part of your car that or your hand control, especially. I have to, yeah, the automatic remote starter,
Yep, yep.
and I always recommend that. So I've been doing that all since it started warming up. But we forget that there's parts that of our body that we can't feel for everybody, and have to be careful, and especially when it comes to swimming.
Yeah,
I know on our on our Tuesday group with Tom and Shawn, and we've talked about this numerous times about going swimming. Put your chair in the shade, tip it upside down. I don't care what you have to
Yeah,
do, but
exactly.
um, yeah, make sure that that when you get out of the pool, it's not going to be too hot. And that's also like, okay, you get to the side of the pool, you put your arm up. No, you want to make sure you get that wet before
Yep,
you put your arm up there, because
cooling
I've
it
seen
down.
people burn their underneath here or touching. So you got to be really careful about, not only we think about the heat, and we, for us quads can't sweat, or those who can sweat,
yeah,
um, but we also have to think of our surroundings. and especially when it gets to that 100 and above, or anywhere from 90 and above. I have to be really careful. I wore out the rubber on my hand controls where I put my hand in, so it's just like, so I got to, now that it's getting hotter, I have to put back my hand towel that I used to always have in there and put it over the top of it when I'm not using my car.
Yeah. Kind of cover it up.
Whether like you're a pair or a quad, imagine getting second or third degree burns on your hands.
Yeah.
And then how are you going to control your chair? Whether you're pushing or using a joystick, if you burn your hands, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. THC said that last night she had a bad episode with overheating, and oh my gosh, yeah, I've been there a couple times, and the best thing that I've always tried is I'll get a small hand towel or a washcloth, depending on how bad it is, get it ice cold wet, and then just put it over the top of me with the fan blowing, and that it takes a long time to cool down, but man, those are the worst episodes when you feel like you're so scared because you just can't get any relief, and especially if you were alone too. You can't ask somebody, or and you gotta. Sometimes if you can't get in your chair, or if you can, you're too hot to almost do it. You're just suffering, and it sucks.
Well, that brings me to the point how we have some of the product that we're going to be talking about, like the cool towels, right? I mean, I have one of those that seem to help a lot. I mean, especially in this hot weather, you're going to got to keep soaking it and stuff like that. But there's things like that I have around that makes a big difference for me, And I think everyone should have one of those because it just helps with putting it on the back of your neck, and like we're showing different variations and things like that. But I just have it's like a regular towel, but it's a cool towel, and you just put it in ice water or whatever, wring it out, and put it on your neck, and it helps. What about you guys?
Robert, in addition to the cool towels, have you ever used the snap towels? When you wet them, you snap them, and they get cool.
Yeah, they get cold.
What's your experience with those?
Well, like I said, I think I have one of those. I have a couple different ones that I use for the most part, but for me, it's just the coolness. And if I'm have something around my neck, even if I just get sometimes a cold bottle of water and just put it on my neck, that it just feels better, And because I try to drink water, but sometimes I just don't drink enough, and apparently with my UTIs nowadays, and I can drink, and it's just. But yeah, the hydration piece is obviously the most important part. It's a big deal. So trying to stay hydrated with this heat, and like I said, I do minimal outside. I get outside when it's cooler in the morning, and then later in the evening. But during the day, I'll do a couple of things here and there, and it's just like I stay air conditioned wherever is air. I go from my air conditioner house to my air conditioner car to an air conditioned store, whatever, and it's just like. It's easy, makes it easier to tolerate, but I don't deal with the heat well anymore. I don't know if that has to do with my aging too, because I am, getting older now, a lot older than
aging, medication.
Yeah.
Because when you take a lot of medication, you can be affected more by the heat because of the medication that you take,
and especially when you're on heart medicine. Because it's regulating your body, your blood circulation with your heart. So it's different. And so I've noticed that it is a little more, I'm a little more affected since I started in January with the heart medication after having an AFib episode. I was going to piggyback off something. I think it is aged a little bit too, Robert. I mean, I grew up in the Valley, and the Valley is like where you live, Luis. It's just hot. Shawn grew up lived near I did for a while too, and I'm sure Shawn would put in the chat saying, how terrible it was to live up there sometimes because it just gets And I did okay. I mean, I was just like, oh, it's hot, and it's like, get that air conditioning on. Some days were miserable. I'll admit it. But, for the most part, and when I was in my 20s, I was like, I'm still going to go do what I'm going to do, Nothing's stopping me. I'm getting out. I don't care. And I love night times when it's like that. And you're like, I can be out till 2 and at a restaurant outside and feel so comfortable.
Yeah.
Nothing's worse in the winter when you're outside with some friends and you're the only one cold because you're a spinal cord injury. So yeah, so now I even before the heart medication, I go up there and visit my parents who still live in the valley for the next 3 weeks until they move down here near me. But I get up there and I'm just like, how did I do this? How could
Yeah.
I live up there? I just don't understand it. It's just unbearably, and I'm like, and it's only 90 right now, and that's cool for Woodland Hills.
You've become acclimated to the OC.
Yeah. Well, that's like for me. I grew up in the South Bay area, and we didn't need air conditioning because my mom would open up the windows and the ocean breeze would come through there and all that. So then
Yeah,
when I moved out here to the San Gabriel Valley, you can't do without air conditioning.
exactly.
Well, and that's funny that you should say. When I first moved here, where I live in Fountain Valley, a lot closer to the beach than you guys, and so I get good breeze. And when we've lived here now 20 years, July 3rd was our anniversary of moving into this house, and I'll go 10 years where I didn't even think about wanting to think about having an air conditioning of any sort.
Yeah,
And over the years, it's getting, now I have an air conditioning unit that the hoses stick out in the living room to cool down the front rooms. And we have one in our bedroom because our bedroom was cathedral ceilings. So it just gets hot in there.
Yeah.
And, being that it was hot, and that's where I'm going to sleep, it's just like unbearable. So now I have a unit sticking out of
yeah,
the slider, and then I had to build all the accessories to go up, and now even starting to think like I need to get some kind of insulation as well. But that helps, and I have to have it. And we used to only need it for 2 weeks. Now it's already out. It's
yeah.
been out for 2 weeks.
My
So
air conditioner runs 24/7 here. And I have
Yeah.
fans in the house and everything. I mean, it's crazy.
Oh,
But I do rely
I've
on it.
done the full Monty. I've got ceiling fans, floor fans, central air. I got the smart thermostat. Um, I can just go, Alexa, I'm cold.
mm,
And it turns out the
Yeah.
AC.
yeah, and I got one of those for the winter time for heat because I
Yeah,
don't have air conditioning here, and so but it's nice I get in my bed, I can turn up the heat, or especially in the morning. It's when in the morning, we wake up and we're cold, and I'm like, I got it, turn it up, with my
Yeah.
phone. So it's nice. Hey, I just want to say a shout out to Motorhead for Life. I don't recognize that name, so sorry, Motorhead, if I'm wrong. That maybe this is your first time. You might have joined us on the other channel, but C7 complete. Let us know about the heat with you and maybe where you're living if it affects you. And then we got Grandma in the house. It was so great to see her last week in LA when we were with the Rolex experience. I want to say um, hello, and yeah, she knows it's tough with the heat, especially rolling over the hill. Yeah.
Yeah.
hi Velma.
So,
So,
um,
so
so
I'm curious if people could also post where are they?
yeah.
Because we're all here in Southern California, but we might have some people out in the Midwest, the South, maybe up north. Because the northern tier states they can get hot in the summer too.
Yeah.
Where are you guys at?
Yeah, I know we got Steve Campbell that just joined us, and he's out in. Correct me if I'm
Corona.
wrong. It's to Corona, yeah,
Yeah.
or
Corona.
close to Corona. So I'm sure, Corona and San Bernardino, where Luis and Shawn live. It's pretty much like you would say Palm Springs weather for anyone who doesn't know those areas, but
Yeah,
Palm Springs. Um, is
Active Quad. Steve, he lives about 20 miles from me.
yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, it gets hot like Palm Springs, and sometimes I love it. My wife and I love Palm Springs in the summer because
yeah,
we just hang out at the pool, and I always we find a crowded pool, and people help me in and out all day, and I love it. So, I'm never afraid to be the one to ask to get into a pool or a hot tub when when I go to certain hotels that are
Yeah.
crowded, like Vegas and Palm
Hmm.
Springs. We always found it just at ease. People are, a lot of times I get in myself, but getting out, because I get in myself by just going forward and
Yeah.
boom, right into the water.
Wait, do you guys find yourself like, we all know people that live out in the desert because we live close enough to it. It's just two valleys over. So, do you find yourself acclimating to the temperature by the time of the day? So you find yourself more resting, taking a nap, sleeping through the day, come out and go do your grocery shopping and things in the evening. Go out for dinner in the evening because you can't do things out in the heat because it's too hot.
Right. Um, I'm more of the morning person to rather do it in the morning, first thing before it gets too hot. And oh man, yeah, Motorhead's coming from a warm
Manila.
place always. So, um, uh, yeah, I always find that it's better for me in the morning and then stay out of it during the day and then go out at night, like you say. I'm not a big person to try to take care of any errands after because once it's hot out and I get even hot in here, I'm not going to do errands. I'll do them first thing in the morning at nine
Yeah,
o'clock.
exactly. Exactly. It's like, it's not important enough to go out there in that, 105-degree weather to make
Yeah.
errands.
Yeah.
Well,
So
it's always great when you go out at 10, 11 o'clock and it's still 100 degrees.
Oh yeah. Yeah. My
Yeah.
I have some friends that live in and some family that lives in La Quinta and all that, and it's like 100, it was 120,
Yeah.
118, that just
Oh, yeah.
my sister goes and visits back there all the time, and she goes, and they were there last week, and she says it was 118.
Yeah. My-
It's
believe it
nuts.
or not, and believe it or not, Robert, I got married at La Quinta on the golf course at a friend's house,
Yeah.
and
then-
we're thinking it's May 15th. Okay, should be beating the heat that day. And I asked, the gal, what is, does it get too hot that? And she goes, it could be so cold or so hot. We just don't
Yeah. Oh
know.
yeah.
And of course, we get one of the hottest days. It's like 105. And I'm just like, oh my God. We were on the pool all day and I'm just laying in the water. And for some reason, either it was because it was like bath water, I was floating so awesome. And I'm like, you should see all my wedding pictures. I'm so sunburned. And I'm just like, look like a cherry tomato. And we had to start our wedding. It was supposed to start, I think, at 4 or 5. We had to start it at like 6:30 when to the sun went over the mountain
Yeah.
and to have shade. And one friend wore a tux, a jacket and a tie and a shirt and slacks. And he's like, why didn't you, everybody's casual. And he goes, why didn't you tell me this was casual? And I'm like, it's Palm Springs. What do you think?
That's
You know,
right. That's right.
like I
Well,
got married in shorts and a Tommy Bahama shirt with a cowboy
yeah.
hat on.
Yeah.
So,
So you mentioned shade. So when you guys are out in the heat and all that, does shade help at all? I mean, obviously with the sun beating down on you, shade's going to have some effect of keeping you cool. But I don't know. It's still heat is heat sometimes, and uh,
yeah.
I know there's different products out there. In fact, Bobby sent some pictures with some umbrella type product, and
but
I don't
we
know
got
I don't know how much it'll work.
Yeah, but yeah, before we do that, we got beans from Texas. So it's currently 100 degrees,
Yep, that
hot
was
as
Fort Worth.
heck. And we've known Texas to get really hot lately. And then we got Japan, C6. He prefers the heat, but this summer he kills them. Yeah, it gets like that. It's like one of those things. It's cold and it's winter, and you're like, I want it warmer. I want it warmer. I want it. Now I
Yeah,
want it.
no, happy.
We're never happy. And
Yeah.
then I
Well,
know
what in June, May and June we were complaining because the sun wasn't coming out.
yeah, exactly. We're never happy. And then Black Olive, we know where she's in the valley, so um,
Yeah.
it's hot there always. But yeah, let's talk about some of the products. We brought up the hand towels, and
Mhm.
that's a great idea for staying cool. But I found, I got on the internet today, found some other tricks of the trade. And one of my great finds, and I don't know if you want to talk about it, Luis, because you know a little bit about it through riding motorcycles, but go
Yeah.
ahead and you talk about it.
That would be the cooling vests. So they have cooling vests that um, you take them out of the package, you put them in a bucket of water, preferably ice in the water, and then you wrap this thing around your body. You see the photo here with the gentleman; he's got the shirt underneath the vest. But ideally, these vests you actually put them against your skin, and then put the shirt over the top. And they make these for runners, hikers, bicyclists, motorcyclists, and they would work great for us as well.
Yeah,
I don't have one, but I will be getting one.
yeah, I'm thinking about it because if you look at that picture, and I watched the Tour de France professional cycling, and they wear them before and after they ride on most of those days in France when it's hot, and
Yes,
they look so thin. And maybe I'm like, that looks like it could be very, um, very comfortable. And you if you keep your core temperature down, you're
yes,
gonna, you're gonna survive because like for me, and I think a lot of quads, and I think Motorhead said it too. He's in the air conditioning that helps him cool off, and stand in front of that fan. In the worst case, get a pail of ice water and a towel to cool my body off. And
yes.
I know that like Saturday, I was at the baseball game with my grandson and it's noon now, and it's the hot, and I had a ice cold water, and I'm pouring it on my legs, I'm pouring it on my shoulder, and anything to cool off, and that helps a little bit, but not like you want.
Just to make a distinction, most of these cooling vests, they're water based. So you dunk them in the water, ice water, whatever, wring it out a little bit, put it on. Um, the one difference is with the Harley Davidson cooling vest. So it actually has pockets built into it, and it comes with freezer gel packs that you can stick in the freezer,
Yeah, keep.
and they stick in this way, so you can freeze those gel packs earlier. Even now, a lot of us have those gel packs that you put in the freezer to put against your arm or your leg or something like that. Same technology, but you're using it to cool your body with, and then you could also pour water over it as well, so you're getting that double effect.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea. And then we get
The
into well, go ahead, Luis.
Well, I was going to say, anybody who has gel packs in your freezer, remember to get those out. If you're heating up, get those gel packs out of your freezer and use that to cool off with.
And nowadays you can buy them at Target for cheap, like get a dozen of them for pretty cheap, and carry them
Yeah,
in a little cooler when you go out and about around your car, because you can place it on your belly, under your shirt, and you're not going to get soaking wet, which
Yeah,
is the nice
yeah,
thing about those.
on your neck.
Yep, on your neck.
yeah,
During
yeah.
the Tour de France, the biggest thing that they do is get a ice cold sponge. And so during the race, they put it always right, a ball right here under the neck and the spine. And they'll keep replacing
Sometimes
it.
when I see Robert, I'll put one up underneath his hat.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it helps. I mean,
Yeah,
and the one thing
Anything,
about,
anything like that helps me. Like I said, I'm a fan of those cold towels.
and the cold towels, for us quads, and you guys can tell me, it's the quads that are in the house today, but uh, it's like this. Okay, the cool towel. Okay, that helps. I want, I want more. I need it colder. I need more. Now start pouring it. And once you start, you can't stop. You
yeah.
just like it's like a drug. It's like I gotta have it. I need more. I'm still hot, and you just start finding any cool water you can, and just keep going. And in Japan, as he was saying, the humidity is what kills you, and that is, yeah, that dry heat you can get away with in La Quinta and Vegas and Palm Springs. That dry heat is a lot easier than when you have to be in the humidity. That, and I've noticed, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the humidity is up here in Southern California. Maybe um, Beans can say, yeah, I think it was, or no, Quad Trials, you know, he's in the OC, but I don't know if you've noticed that the humidity is up.
Yeah.
It is up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then
and the thing, people think that we don't have humidity here. It depends on what you're acclimated to. So if you're living in Florida and it's 98 degrees and it's 99% humidity, that really sucks. But trust me, Florida never gets to 120 degrees. You
because
know,
of the humidity.
I've been in Phoenix when it was 115 degrees in the pouring rain.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, and that
Well,
was meant.
I heard Florida, their ocean water was 101 the other day. I mean,
Yes.
the water's warming up there big time.
Yeah, it's actually it's so the water's so hot, it's killing the coral reefs.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's affecting them.
such a shame.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, let's.
I was watching on the news the other day, and they did photograph of the world, right? And it just showed a band around the center of the Earth, a red band, how the global warming is affecting, not just the United States, but all over the world.
Yeah.
The heat
And,
is,
and
it's
that's
a
a real
band
problem,
around the globe.
because it creates that environment for hurricanes and cyclones.
Yeah,
It needs that warm water.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah. And then we get into a whole nother discussion about emergency preparations for those of us in wheelchairs.
absolutely. So let's talk
like
about.
angry Chronicles, it's July. It's
Oh,
right, man. It's summer,
Yeah.
midsummer here.
but I find that July is actually easier than August and to me, September here has always been the hottest month for
Yeah.
here in California. When people come out here to Disneyland, I feel sorry for them when they come in May and June because we got May gray and June gloom.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Where's the sun? Where's Southern California?" I'm like, "Come in August. Come in late August, September.
Yeah.
It's hot.
If you
It's
want to
hot."
see the blue skies, come when it occurs. But the May and June, it's overcast.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Most likely, you're not going to see the sun here. Unless you're really inland, and that's not Disneyland. That's
well,
that still hits it.
well, of course, too. Every couple of years, we'll get a nice mild fall, but there's also that possibility we might have what's called an Indian summer, where it'll be hot all the way through
December.
October, sometimes even November. And that's when you've already been hot for 2 or 3 months. Being hot into a fourth and fifth month, you get really tired of it. Yeah.
Oh wow! Beans went through Hurricane Harvey. Oof.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. There was one time as a kid I remember um, I got some for my racing bike and some new handles or something, and I put them on that day and tried to go ride. It was too hot on Christmas Day to ride.
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
"Ooh." I'm like, I came in like about after 5 miles, going, it's too hot out there.
Were, were your hands sticking to the grips?
Yeah, because they were brand new. No, it was more my elbow. They had rubber. And I'm like, oh God, it's too hot out here. And that new rubber smell that when it heats up, it smells awful.
Well,
So
it's like hand rims with these rubber grips on the hand rims. I can't do it. I don't. Those people that want the rubberized hand rims, I I can't handle it. Just
well,
give me a plain old regular rim.
it's gonna burn you. Because I mean, for us quads, they're essential.
Yeah,
They're
because of the
more
way you
they're almost
push.
more
Yeah,
important than the wheelchair. Yeah, we need it. But then you can get like where I don't know if you can see my hand. You get the burns. From
Yeah.
I'm going down a hill and I'm slowing down and I use the back of my hand and that's what you get. So I always have little marks there. From the rubber wheels or nowadays they're if you're using push black or what's the other company? Shawn, you know it, but there's push black and Q grips, and I got Q grips. I've used both; they're about the same. But let's talk about our other product. So,
Yeah.
talking about that jacket, but then THC was saying in her room it was pretty hot. So, um, And I've gotten one of these. They're not the best. You can get them on Amazon. They're pretty cheap, but it's a cooling fan, and they're a little portable. The one picture we have is got a handle, and it's just a little having a nice little ice box next to your stand, and or put it on a tray, TV tray, maybe next to you, pointing right at you, and helping you out in that way. So, not
Do you
sure
add
if that.
ice cubes to it?
No, I don't know why it has. No, it's all all just plug it in, and it
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
You don't have to add water. It's or anything like that. All right, Inge Quad, have a good one. Thanks for stopping by for that couple minutes and hanging out. And welcome from New Jersey. So, so I do have one of those, and I've used it and like it, and I need to bring it out and put it right next to me here because this is the room that now is the hottest room. So I'm going to need something like that to get cool. So I don't know. Have you guys ever used something like that?
No, I haven't, but I've seen something recently on TV where it's like kind of like what's we're showing right now, but it has a little chamber at the top where you put ice, or like kind of like is like a water evaporator type process. I don't know, but it's supposed to keep things cool for a little while, because they're more for like a personal fan type thing, right? But
Hmm.
I've seen ones where they put the cubes in them, and I guess that helps circulate the cold air.
The thing about cubes, then you got to keep adding. And
Yeah.
for us, we're laying down and quads. The one thing that you might want to look into as well, and I have this for our air unit in the bedroom, is a remote that goes with it.
Yeah.
So you get your room cold, and then now you can't turn off the unit, and you're stuck in bed.
Yeah, you're freezing.
This is a problem for quads, and I've been there where at night I'm laying there with the blanket going, shit, I see dead people, and it's just like it's pretty cold. So I now have this remote that I can turn that thing off. And,
Yeah.
And nowadays we keep the bedroom shut. We go in there. It's an ice box. It lasts throughout the night, so we don't even. A lot of times have to turn it on, and it's so loud anyway. You can't even hear a TV if you're going to watch something. So
Yeah, I have
Yeah,
a floor fan with a remote and then a matching table fan.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And
See,
if you're not,
I like fans. I like fans, but they need to be quiet. I mean, you
Yeah.
put them on sometimes. Just that sound is just like so you keep it on low, and it doesn't really distribute the air like you want. But I mean, I know there's fans out there but I don't know what they cost. But most of the fans for me, I got to have them quiet.
right now, Amazon. My wife just bought two different sizes. One like this size, and maybe one that's like a little bit bigger. The big one is for the kitchen. The smaller one is for her bathroom when she's doing her makeup. And they're Amazon Choice fans. They were pretty
nice,
pretty reasonable and pretty quiet. Somebody came in the house and like, I just bought one of those. Oh my God, why is yours quiet? Mine's loud. And so if you're looking for a quiet one, I recommend that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, I'm going to check it out.
I bought the Costco special where you get the two fans in the same box.
Are they loud or?
They're actually pretty quiet, and I've had them for a few years now. Cool. They were quieter than the ones I had previously.
Yeah.
My ceiling fan makes more noise than these do.
Especially when they're off balance and they're going.
Yeah.
That is the worst because especially those hanging ones.
That's what I got. Yeah.
It's like, and that's the one in our bedroom is like the hanging, and it's just like I look at it and sometimes it's like,
yeah,
side to side.
They get a little bit out of balance, and you see them start to move while you're sleeping. And when they move, I think it's going to fall off the ceiling and destroy me.
There was a place up in Paso Robles, wine country, and we had a B&B, and the whole night I just kept staring at the fan. I'm like, this thing's gonna fly off because it was going. I'm just like, it's gonna go. I just know it. Luis, you want to talk about our next spray options, kind of?
What do we have up next here, Shawn?
We have spray bottles. So there's
Yeah.
different variations of spray bottles.
Oh, there we go. Of course, you would ask me to do this. That's
Yeah.
the Garden Special from Home Depot. So, but actually, these work. 2 weeks ago, we were at the Angel City Games, and probably a good 1/4 of the people there had exactly this type of sprayer. It's great because you can put ice in it, fill it full of water, and so besides just water, you're spraying cold water on yourself, and it feels great. And the little nozzle is adjustable, so you can control the spray and everything. Um, they're very, very handy. Some models I've seen will actually, besides the handle, like you see in the photograph there, they'll have a little lanyard on it, so you can like hang it over the push handle on the back of your wheelchair and take it with you. That comes in handy. You can also add that if on your own if you want. But the
What
spray bottles, even if they're the small ones, like a little household one, but the garden ones, when you're outdoors, they're awesome.
and what makes them awesome is the pressure. So you're pumping in all
Yeah,
that pressure, and you only have to hold down the button and just be sprayed, 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 spray, and the spray lasts a long time.
yeah,
At least
Yeah.
what, a good 15 seconds, if not more, sometimes depending on how much pressure you put in it.
yeah.
And
And the
like
nice,
back in
I
the
was going
day,
to say, you can ask someone to pump it. If you don't have that hand function, you can ask someone to pump it up for you because, like Bobby says, that pressure lasts a while.
yeah, or you can do what I've done one time. Just I was so hot, I just took my, grabbed it with my teeth and like,
Yeah,
oh, you know,
Resourceful, man.
yeah,
Whatever
you
it takes.
do whatever it takes when you're hot. And I mean, soon I was almost about to go where I just took off the top and just do that. 'Cause
yeah.
when you get hot, that's where you have to go sometimes. Black Olive, tell me about your Dyson. I've been thinking about getting one of those because then it's hot and cool fan.
Yeah, the bladeless,
Yeah,
bladeless.
but the price is a little more on the heavier side. And so tell me about it. Maybe message me on Instagram if you can, Olivia. But that's what's great about those is the spray lasts a long time. Unlike the old days when I first got hurt, it was like have a squirt bottle, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're just barely trying to get it.
That little spring trigger, you keep working it and working it, and then finally breaks, and then you're out of luck. The pressurized ones are so much better.
Now for your backyard or camping trips, or maybe
Or the,
even more like the games that you were at, they have a big one that you can make with the hose, and this is a mega one. Holds a lot
yes,
more water, more ice, so adding the ice, and then it's got the hose where you can reach it over to somebody else and help them out staying cool, and or
I have
even
one
just,
of those.
yeah, so you can keep it on the ground and you don't have to worry about picking up a heavy bottle, especially for some quads that have really limited and they're just sitting there and they want to just hold that and not have to worry about dealing with that big bottle, or a bottle on top of you.
Strap it to the chair.
True, but you still have to get it somewhat up. For us quads, when you're
Yeah,
hot, you want it right here. You
yeah,
want it as
that's
close
true.
to you as can. Here is like, nope, not working, not working.
Yeah, and before we get off bottles, there's also the bottles that have the little electric power fan.
So
Yeah.
I think we have a picture of that, and nice, ain't powerful for quads. Eh.
Yeah.
He's doing it. He's not going to do it.
No,
Now
you're
those
like,
those come in different sizes as well.
yeah, you're about to
So
cut
some
off
are
your
pretty
nose.
small.
You're like this, and you're hot, and you're trying to squirt it with your hand, and you're like,
Okay,
that's what I'm
question.
talking about.
Because I can see Bobby doing this. I can see Bobby having one of those baseball caps that has the little container of water and the electric fan right in the forehead right here. Have you done that, Bobby?
No, I've seen them before. There's a group called On Back. They're in San Diego. A group of it's a guys club, and they help run our
Okay.
baseball tournament we used to have. And A couple of those guys would have it.
Yeah.
They are cool. But, thinking of hats, now we're thinking of just shade. You got to stay cool. And a lot of times you can be somewhere, and like I was on Saturday, there's limited shade. You need, a tent, and not always that you can find a big tent. You need shade for, like an umbrella. So
Yeah.
we found a couple different products that, they're not the best looking, but here's something that I
I
just
don't
thought was
know.
awesome.
I don't
It's,
know, man.
we're pushing around. We need our hands free, right?
Yeah.
So look at your head. I mean, hey, what's
Can't be
better?
used on a breezy day though.
Yeah, you're like, oh, getting choked to death. Yeah, it falls off, and you're like, oh, how do you die?
Getting choked.
Yeah, an
I
umbrella.
I'm sorry, but whoever one of us is wearing that, I will grieve him all day long.
Okay, I'm gonna get one of those for the Overline tournament coming up in October.
Yeah, really.
You're on. You're on.
You got it. And but now you can get into some of the attachments, which are great. They're not I don't know, like that hat. They're not the coolest. And find what's going to work best for you.
Yeah, especially if you're sitting in one spot. If you're spectating somewhere, and you're
Yes.
that'd be perfect. That I could see that with this attachment to the wheelchair.
These clamp on umbrellas, there's several manufacturers. So you can get these from places like REI, Walmart, Amazon. There's quite a few of them. We were talking before the show. You can see these umbrellas here where the umbrella is center mounted on the stick, on the pole.
Yeah,
There are some that are offset so that instead of being right in the middle, the pole's back here. And that way the umbrella will come out more over your legs.
yeah, yeah,
Because sometimes when we're using umbrellas, our head's covered, but our legs are still out in front
Yeah,
of
so
us.
you need it to tilt too. You want to make sure that you get an umbrella
Exactly.
or the stand that can tilt according to where the sun
yeah.
is. If it's at
Yeah.
10 o'clock or 2 o'clock. So
Old school. I don't know about you guys, but in the back of the seat, we have these little rubber plugs in our seat posts. And I would take one of those rubber plugs out,
Pop it
get
out.
an old style umbrella, and cut the handle off the umbrella and stick that into the
Just
seat
wedge it
post.
in there, huh?
yeah,
Yeah.
a
And
lot of times
it
quads.
works, but not
Yeah,
great. But it's good to
then
pinch.
when you're trying to reach behind. But if you're just sitting there and don't
Yeah.
have to push around, that works. But or just the old fashioned, just bring a rain umbrella and just hold it there,
Yeah, yeah,
which I was
Yeah.
doing on Saturday. Finally, I was just like, oh,
yeah,
just
The
anything.
clamp on ones are pretty easy because instead of putting it on one side of the chair or the other, you can mount it to the bar in the center of your back because you're not reaching that far back to smack it as much.
yeah.
Yeah, so that where that bar is that you see on Bobby's chair, you can mount it right to that in the center, not to the left or right.
Yeah, so you still have your armrests, all your hand rims and all your
Yeah.
handles and all that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that will work. Um, so those are just some of the products that we kind of. There's tons out there. Obviously get what works best for you. Everybody has tricks of the trade, I'm sure. Shawn said he has those neck fans, um, and they are
Yeah.
cute. And the other night at the Angel game, this lady had one, and they're two little blades that are right here, and so it wraps around your neck, and two little fans that just blow right up there. You charge it, and so if you are spraying your face down, and with the fan effect, it works pretty good. And I think I think on Amazon you can get them for $20, maybe even cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I've seen some newer ones where they're just like a tube and uh, uh, there's like, it's the fans are all internal. So they're just like
Mhm.
some louvers that are there and the fans blow from there and they're just real thin. And I've been seeing that a lot on internet lately.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
So
The first time I saw those, I thought they were headphones.
yeah, it's like that because it lays right in
Yeah,
Yeah.
here, and
and I think
louvers and the fans are, I guess, built internally.
and I think the biggest thing is this, when it comes to staying hydrated,
Hydration.
stay cool, not always drink, you want to drink water, but a lot of times you want to drink your electrolytes,
Yeah.
something that's not gonna something help because when we drink a lot of water, it takes out a lot of those vitamins, essential needs for your body, and so
Yeah.
we want to replace it with electrolytes. Myself, lately, it's on the little more expensive side. Liquid IV,
Oh,
godsend, and yeah, you can find them at any grocery store, CVS, Walgreens.
how'd you like
Liquid
it?
IV.
I've never seen it myself.
Yeah, they come in a lemon and a fruit punch flavor, and
Hmm.
it's like it says, it's an IV that's going straight into you with all the essentials that you need.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, and, or what's good is Pedialyte, but
Yeah.
I always recommend just diluting it a little bit. It's pretty heavy, and so I dilute my Pedialyte, but that's also a little bit higher than your Gatorades. If you have to go the Gatorade route, it's not bad. It's going to help.
Yeah.
Keep the sugar down, as I always say.
I was watching a report recently about energy drinks and the difference with hydration drinks because they were making a point that people be aware of what they're drinking,
Oh,
that a hydration drink and an energy drink are totally two different animals.
one's
Oh
pure
yeah.
sugar, one's not. You
Yeah.
know, which is your rock stars. I've only had one rock star in my life, my first and last, and because I crashed so hard. Uh,
Yeah.
I was dropping my wife off after I drank one, and then all of a sudden I'm just like, "Ooh, oh my god!" And I thought I was gonna, uh, blood pressure dropped. I had to go over to a Pollo Loco, and not once but twice in the drive-through to get a Coke to replenish because it
Yeah.
had whatever it did to me with all that sugar. I had to even put more sugar to bring up some. It was just, I'm like, I will never do that again.
Yeah.
Those rock,
See, I stay away from sugar drinks nowadays. I mean, as
yeah.
much as I
There's a
used to
lot of
love it,
controversy
I just can't.
about these. Have you guys heard of Prime? This new drink called
Mm-mm.
Prime?
Yeah, isn't there two different types of Prime?
Exactly. So
Yeah, yeah,
there's an energy drink called Prime. Same company makes a hydration drink called Prime. And it's
yeah.
only on the bottom of the can in little letters that you see the difference. And uh, the FDA, doctors, people are worried about the energy drink one because it's not like drinking a monster. It's like drinking 5 or 6 monsters
Oh god.
because
Oh man, that's crazy.
the
Mm-mm.
caffeine is through the charts.
Yeah,
It's way off.
I
Where
can't do caffeine.
the hydration one has no caffeine in it at all.
Yeah, that's like
And
these
the thing
IV.
that the hydration one is actually pretty good. And I had one. I tried one 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
At the Angel City Games, they had cases and cases of them, but not of the energy drink, just the hydration drink.
yeah. Stay away from sodas if you can. I had my first soda in almost, I don't know, years. Having
Yeah,
a
I
Yeah,
Jack
haven't
at
had
the
it for a
game
long time.
the other night. I was like, oh well. I mean, I wasn't missing anything. When you're having a Jack and Coke, you don't have that much Coke in there.
yeah.
Yeah, really.
You want
I,
more,
Should
you want
at least
more
you
with it.
shouldn't.
Yeah,
I had a Dr. Pepper yesterday, and it's the first soda I've had in 3 or 4
Oh yeah,
months.
see,
yeah.
I gave them up. I can't go back to them, or so I'll start all over again. But hey,
Um,
real quick, regarding the heat, I know Mickey joined us
yeah.
and is
Mickey?
asking about having problems with the ramp not working properly. And so mine, I'm not using it a whole lot right now, but mine has been working okay. But mine's a whole lot newer. But Bobby, do you have issues with using your ramp in the heat at all?
Now, if I touch it, but I don't. There's
Yeah,
never
but
any
I mean,
that I
in terms
have
of
to touch.
functioning and how it operates.
Mm, no. I do have to watch. So when I transfer and I get into my car, and I usually don't do this, but once in a great while, if I feel like I'm coming out of a bank, let's say, suspicious, like I don't need anybody coming up to me right now, so I'll shut the ramp right away. And if it's been
Yeah.
out and I put my arm there, you have to kind of be,
Yeah.
a little careful. So I mean, that's about, but not working properly because it's too hot. I think more my car's not going to work. I had
Yeah. Yeah.
back in the day. Uh, I had an older van, and if my buddy, when he watches, you have to shout out Jeff Mitchell. He was with me. So there's two quads in the car. And what's the city, Luis? You would know, or probably Robert. What's the city with the big thermometer before you get over the borderline?
Baker.
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 Yeah.
So we're in Baker. We're stopped with some friends, and there's three cars, and we all take off. I'm the third one, two quads, and we didn't have a lot of water. And you know that long ass grade before you get to the state line?
Yeah.
My car got vapor lock.
Oh man.
And if you know what vapor lock is.
Yeah. They don't. I don't think they don't have them nowadays, but we had them before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
the worst place in the world for your
Oh,
car to have problems.
and we call sheriffs and the tow truck, and they're like, "Do you want us to call 911?" I'm like, because we said we're limited on water, and now your air conditioning doesn't work. And I'm just like,
man.
I don't know yet. Maybe just get here fast, and luckily we didn't need, but as soon as the cap came off, that all that pressure out, car started right up.
Yeah.
Okay, for those of you watching the show, the little town of Baker is on Interstate 15, and it's the entrance, the gateway to Death Valley.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we're talking halfway between the Los Angeles area and Las Vegas, and it's desert and it's hot, and there isn't anything out there except like one of the world's largest solar stations.
Yeah.
Over the next
Death Valley gets to be, what's the record there? 134 degrees, I think, before is the record for heat there. And it's
I think
getting
this last
130
week it hit
lately.
130 or 131.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Mickey, I can see that. It's more common with vans that have underneath floor, because if you're on the ground, your temperature outside is 97, let's say. The pavement is really, 110, 120 sometimes.
In that ballpark, yeah.
Yeah. So that heat is hitting up underneath your car, and that's where the ramp is. So I can see that. Yeah, Mickey, especially in those older vans. So yeah, I can see that. And then Olivia, Celtic salt. Do you guys know what that is?
No, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, do tell where you get it, if it's Amazon, and never heard of it. Sounds interesting. So half a teaspoon. Wow. All right. Not sure if it's like a hydration kind of thing or just salt. So
Irish sea salt.
Yeah. Like Irish Spring, except well, we've been a little bit over an hour now, and I think we've, cooled you off, hopefully, with our discussion in some little way. But Luis, you want to talk about our great sponsors that keep our channel going? And I talked to them today because they're going to give me a price for somebody, a better price than I have elsewhere.
Exactly. So our sponsors regularly is Mobility Professionals and Urology Professionals. Mobility Professionals is a DME provider here in Southern California, and they provide wheelchairs and shower chairs and all kinds of equipment. They have a full team and staff of technicians and people that can help you find what you really need. The beauty of this is they know, because they use this equipment themselves. They know our problems. They understand them. They are professional and quick, and they're going to help you out right away. Urology Professionals is a nationwide company. They will service you anywhere. It doesn't matter where you're at, what state you're in. They can help you with your needs, and just like mobility professionals, UP, they have everything you need. They have the people trained in expertise in what you might need. What you might say you're having a problem, maybe you need a different size catheter, you need a different type of product. You can ask that and they will know about it, and they will send you um, sample sizes, things that you can try out. And that's an important thing because not every product works for everybody, and they will help you find the right product for you. Again, I'd like to thank mobility professionals and urology professionals for being our sponsors. We love them and we appreciate them.
Absolutely. Wrapping up, I'll say some last words, and I'd like you guys to also say it. Black Olivia's Olive said, or Olivia, she's not black, says gray salt, less processed, more electrolytes. Yeah, I have to look that up on Amazon. Thank you so much. But words of wisdom before we wrap up for me is be prepared, especially when you're going somewhere. Think about the elements that you're going to be in. If some of us are just absent-minded and not thinking about, you're in the morning and it's like, oh, it's nice. And then you forget about where you could end up in during the day and it get really hot. So bring that cooler of your ice pads that Luis was talking about that you can put in lunch bags or put them on those vests and bring, ice water and containers, big containers. Make sure you have something that that's going to cool you off if you're that person that needs to be cooled off in a hurry. Those towels work great. Spray bottles that we talked about, all of them are great products that will keep you cool and comfortable. So be prepared when you're about to leave the house.
Yeah,
Luis?
definitely.
I just want to remind people this is an important issue. This really can be life and death. Uh, I don't want to mention names or anything, but we know of someone a few years ago who went to a summer concert with his friends here in Los Angeles at the Los Angeles Coliseum. He has a high level quad. He was getting overheated, dehydrated, and he actually got concerned himself about himself. So he left the concert, went out to his van, started up the van, turned on the AC, and got in his van to cool his body down. Sadly, he didn't make it. He passed away. Everyone in the community, able-bodied community, the media, it was a mystery how this gentleman may have passed away in his wheelchair van. But those of us that lived the SCI life, we knew what happened.
That air conditioning, when you're too hot, that air conditioning is not enough.
No. So there's times when you have to be cognizant of that. And if you're too overheated, go to the emergency room, go to a cooling center.
Yeah,
Take
and especially
action.
Coliseum has doctors there that are supposed to help out the audience in case, because of crowd control or anything like that. They have a little care center. So find the care center ASAP.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And this is
know where it's at. Yeah, know where it's at before you need it. Always know where you need to go in case of anything.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Robert?
I
think staying hydrated, obviously for me, I just kind of stay out of the heat. There's nothing that I have to do. I stay indoors, stay in the AC. I don't mind it too because I'm going to get a little lazy nowadays. But it's just, for me, it's just drinking water. I drink more and more water all the time. But you just keeping your body cool, air conditioning for me is a wonder. And water. I mean, I know there's a lot of things out there, devices and products and all that stuff, but it's really simple, just keeping yourself hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Upcoming events. So I believe Live to Roll is going to be in Houston and Phoenix this year.
No, just Phoenix.
Just Phoenix.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. Houston's the rugby tournament, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
I forgot about the rugby tournament.
Yeah, because Expo's in September. The Phoenix
in
Expo.
September. So those of you that live in the Arizona, New Mexico, California area, keep the Phoenix show in mind. Go out and visit. Hopefully, it's cooler by then.
Yeah, because they're on 27 days of 110 or hotter.
Yeah, those that live in the region, um, Shawn, several other people live to roll, triumph. We've got wheelchair rugby going on still every Sunday. So please feel free to come out and participate. If you haven't tried wheelchair rugby, this is a great venue to try it out. It's a lot of fun. Um, September, coming up, hand cycling. I think there's adaptive shooting coming up. There's a superhero 5K run in Orange County in Irvine, California. So if you've got a superhero outfit, come out and roll with us. If you don't have a superhero outfit, we'll give you a cape and a mask.
Absolutely. And
So
we're not the only show here on Live to Roll. Don't forget us about Tuesday. Every week, 3:30, you can see myself, Tom, and Shawn. And I'm hoping we have this guest coming in that we met the other day. So we'll announce it when I get confirmation. And then every Wednesday, we got Tom and video gaming. If you're into video gaming, he's there at 5 o'clock, having lots of fun with his buddy and Sarab. And then next Thursday is the women's. I think it's the first week of November. So we have our women's show coming up with Brianna and her ladies that join her are awesome.
Wait, did you say November? Did you say November?
Probably.
Yeah, you're pushing the year already, man. It's already going too fast.
Yeah.
Probably because
slow down.
I'll blame my new tight. It's on the tighter side, so it's squishing my brain. So next Thursday, August.
Yes.
August. Okay.
Yes.
There we go. And then you can always catch us here, the Rolling Over the Hill, us old folks, talking about and whining about other things. We're the second and fourth Thursday of every month. So join us and live to roll.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Be safe.
Live
Stay
to roll.
cool.